Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back. So it's been a while since I've done one of these portfolio review videos, and throughout the past few months or so I've been slowly consolidating my positions and piling more into some more high conviction stocks. You'll see what I mean in a sec, but basically I took some profits and in some cases even some small losses in order to accomplish this. In an ideal scenario I would have really liked to keep all my stocks, because whenever I invest in a stock it's because I believe in it for the long term, and just because I sold a stock doesn't mean I no longer believe in it. I just see a better opportunity somewhere else. That's why I sold the stock, right? So once again, in an ideal scenario, I would have liked to not sell anything. But it is what it is, right? So I've been so focused on building out my crypto portfolio as well that I haven't had that much free cash flow to put new money into the account. So yeah, again, I had to sell some things and you'll see in a sec. So for now, I'm sure some of you have noticed that growth stocks have been absolutely hammered recently, and the majority of my stocks are growth stocks. So as you can imagine, whenever I buy the dip, it just keeps on dipping. So it's a really sad time for me actually, but I promise I would showcase the good times and the bad times to you guys, because I know a lot of people here on YouTube, they're super enthusiastic to talk about their portfolios when everything's going well, right? So when everything is going well, they're like, oh, look at how much money I made, right? But when everything is red, then you don't hear from them anymore, right? So that's not who I am. So I'm trying to not be that guy, so I'm gonna show you guys the good times and the bad times. And right now, it's a rough time in my portfolio, so be prepared for some red. That's what I'm saying. But before I begin, if you want to help me recoup some of the losses, I do have referral links down below for various crypto trading platforms here in Canada, such as Noon, ShakePay, and Coinbase. And you can get some free crypto rewards by using the link down below and making your first trade. You really got to watch out for what platform you use these days. So I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit and whatnot of people using sketchy no-name exchanges and getting their crypto stolen and whatnot. So all of these platforms that I have referral links for, I have personally, so I use them personally as well, and I trust all of them, so I haven't had any major problems with Noon, ShakePay, or Coinbase. I really do trust these platforms, and if you want to sign up for those platforms using my referral link, it does help me out, helps out with the channel, and it would be greatly appreciated. Although again, those are referral links, so completely voluntary, completely up to you. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So onto the portfolio now. So the portfolio value is just shy of 55K right now, US dollars, by the way, which works out to be about 66,000 Canadian dollars. So I remember at the peak of this portfolio was just over 80,000 Canadian dollars, and I haven't withdrawn or deposited new money into this portfolio since then. So I guess you can say I'm down more than 15,000 Canadian dollars ish since just a few months ago. So it doesn't help also that the US dollar has gone down recently, which also affects the Canadian to US conversion rate. So it's a great time if you're a Canadian and you're just converting your money now, but I converted my money a long time ago, so most of my money is tied up in US equities and US dollars. So it is what it is, right? As you can see though, my trailing 12-month return has fallen quite a bit as well. Now I'm sitting at 56%, which is probably still I know it's not the most impressive compared to what some other people have been doing, but it's still pretty good if you ask me, and I'm still quite satisfied with that metric actually. Now let's finally get to the positions, right? So I'm gonna go from the smallest position to the largest by dollar value. Here's number one, and number one is MicroStrategy, ticker symbol MSTR. Now, I own 2 shares of MicroStrategy at an average cost of $707 per share, and as you can see, I'm down 12% at the moment. So I'm not sure if any of you know that MicroStrategy actually made software. I know, it's crazy. So they have so much Bitcoin right now that this might as well be a Bitcoin ETF. Right now, according to the latest news that I'm able to find, they're holding over 90,000 Bitcoins right now, which works out to be about $5.3 billion at the time of making this video. So guys, the company is only worth $6 billion in market cap, okay? So over 90% of the value of the company is just Bitcoin. So of course, for me and pretty much for anyone else in this stock, this is a Bitcoin play and you're in it for the Bitcoin, right? And if you're wondering why I decided to buy MicroStrategy stock instead of the Bitcoin ETF, because we have those in Canada now, well, it's because I really like Michael Saylor, right? So Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, I'm not sure if you ever seen a Michael Saylor interview, but he's one of the smartest people I have known like ever talking about Bitcoin, and the guy really knows what he's talking about. So again, if you've never seen a Michael Saylor interview, I highly recommend it. He breaks down his decisions to invest in Bitcoin and why he thinks Bitcoin is like the next big thing. He breaks it down in a very like succinct way. And yeah, so I'll leave a link down below to a Michael Saylor interview. The one with Hyperchange is the one that I'm going to link. I really like that one. So I'm going to link that one down below if you guys are interested. Number two reason why I decided to buy MicroStrategy stock, it really is a bit of a leverage bet on Bitcoin too. MicroStrategy has borrowed money by issuing bonds to buy Bitcoin. So effectively, they're shorting the dollar, right? Because they're borrowing dollars to buy Bitcoin. So they're shorting the dollar and going long on Bitcoin. So theoretically, if Michael Saylor is right and Bitcoin price skyrockets, this could potentially deliver returns that are greater than if you were just to hold the underlying Bitcoin. So yeah, that's interesting. So that's number one. Moving on to stock number two. This one is super painful, guys. Just warning you guys of graphic imagery before we begin, right? So viewer discretion is advised. You guys ready? Okay, let's go. So number two is Hyliion, ticker symbol HYLN. And yeah, it's down over 60% for me at the moment. It's absolute disaster so far. And I've already made other dedicated videos talking about this, so I won't spend too much time here talking about it again. But all I have to say is, fundamentally, the company seems like it's doing fine. I don't think that they're in any risk of like bankruptcy or anything, at least not in the short term. And they're on schedule to start delivering the Hypertruck ERX product starting next year, which that's going to be the real moneymaker for them, right? So I still believe that Hyliion has all the ingredients to make a very successful company. And until I see any evidence suggesting otherwise, I'm going to continue to hold this stock. So I know it's painful for you guys right now if you have Hyliion shares like me, right? But I think that anything is a moot point until we see the rollout of the Hypertruck ERX. So, you know, we'll just have to see how the ERX performs. So you're just going to have to be a little bit more patient and recognize that if you're in Hyliion, you're probably in it for like the really long term, right? So, you know, until the ERX comes out, it's all just noise. So just, I don't even look at it anymore, okay? So next up we have Nokia. So I have 650 shares of Nokia, and there's actually been a lot of exciting things that's been happening around Nokia. So they recently posted their earnings and net sales were up 3% year over year, which doesn't sound very impressive at first until you realize that everyone was, well, not everyone, but most analysts were expecting flat or even negative net sales growth. So gross margin also went from 36.4% to 38.2%. And most important of all, the reason for this better than expected performance was driven by strong performance in its 5G equipment sector, which is what I've been saying this whole time. Okay, so Nokia is a great play on the 5G business. So if you've been paying attention to the news recently, you'll notice that the relationship between the Chinese government and the rest of pretty much every other country around the world have been taking a slight, or not a slight, but a sharp downturn recently due to various political reasons that I'm not going to get into because this is not a politics channel, right? But another result that I think that is happening because of that is because Huawei, the Chinese company who sells 5G equipment, a lot of countries are boycotting Huawei as a result because the relationship between like the Chinese government and other governments is breaking down. So like Huawei is kind of viewed as like a representation of Chinese government, right? Because they are partly, I think, Chinese state owned, right? So again, there's going to be a lot of pushback against Huawei, and I don't think that pressure is going to let up anytime soon. So that's definitely going to benefit Nokia because as countries push out Huawei, they're still going to need 5G equipment, right? So where are they going to get it from? Well, then Nokia is there to step up to fill that gap. Anyways, so I did buy this stock at the wrong time though, I'll say that. So I bought it during the peak of the hype cycle with all the GME thing that was going on back in January. So there were other stocks that were being pumped up along with GME, and Nokia was one of them. So I bought it at like a very bad price, which was my mistake. Otherwise, I'd be up. Right, so regardless though, long term, I do see Nokia going to $10 or above. I'm just gonna hold it for now, and I'm comfortable holding it for now. Anyways, next up we have Coinbase, ticker symbol COIN. So this is the one time that I decided to play an IPO and I got destroyed. Okay, so which just show you the luck of these things, sometimes my luck in these things. I made the decision to sit out on the Snowflake IPO, even though I really like the company, and the stock ended up skyrocketing right after the IPO, and I didn't buy any shares. And I thought the same thing was going to happen to Coinbase this time, so I bought in and then it crashed. So if you're invested in Coinbase since IPO day, I'm sorry, it's because I bought it. That's probably why it crashed. You know what, that's okay though, because I've started to average down on it, and right now I have a total of 27 shares, and I managed to pull the average price down to $339. So I've talked about Coinbase extensively already on this channel, so I won't spend too much time talking about it again, but just to summarize, I think that this stock below $300 a share is an absolute steal. So Coinbase is one of the most profitable companies in the world. So I believe that we still have not seen the peak of the bull cycle in the crypto space just yet. So if we're going to see $150 Bitcoin, or $150,000 Bitcoin, sorry, not $150, $150,000 Bitcoin and a $10,000 ETH by the end of the year, if those prices if we hit those prices by the end of the year, I think that Coinbase stock will perform similarly. Let me just say that. And some people say that $150,000 per Bitcoin is like a very bearish estimate for the end of the year. People are predicting over $200,000 per Bitcoin. So we'll see, right? But anyways, I'll leave it there. So that was Coinbase. Next up, of course, we have Tesla. And this is my biggest stock position right now. So it'll probably always be my biggest stock position, to be honest. Pretty much said everything there is to say about Tesla. So if you're not convinced as to why you should be holding Tesla shares in your portfolio, I can't help you, okay? So there's nothing I can say. So if you're not convinced in Tesla's success by now, you'll probably never be convinced. So I'm just going to leave it there. So I've added some shares of Tesla. So right now I have 55 shares. And you guys know my long-term goal is to get to 100. So long way to go, but I'm making my way there slowly. Lastly, I do also have 190 shares of Palantir, which is held in my Questrade account. So I'm down a lot on these two, almost 40%. But I'm not really worried about this either. I think Palantir is one of those companies that do have an opportunity to do a 10x. So I fully expect this company to actually do a 10x because it's just they have the smartest people, and they have like some of the stuff that they're doing is just absolutely insane, and I can't like even fully wrap my head around it. But I do think that this is a company that's on its cutting edge, and the use cases for its products are basically limitless. Because for those of you who don't know Palantir, they do like data analytics, they do like big data, and their products can be useful for like so many different things. Like I've seen like people describe how their software can be used to like manage like airplanes, right? So what's the best way to save on fuel, and what's the best way to optimize like how much to charge for a ticket and whatnot. So all this stuff, it sounds really elementary, it sounds very basic, but it's actually super complicated, especially if you're like an airline and you're trying to find efficiencies anywhere you can, where every drop of fuel you save could be like millions and millions of dollars down the line, right? So I think that the use cases of Palantir is just, there's so many use cases that's going to be like coming down the pipeline, and the company keeps on finding partnerships with like a bunch of different companies, like big name companies too, like IBM and like Chrysler and whatnot. So yeah, I do think that this will be a $200 stock one day. And yeah, I'll leave a link somewhere to a previous video where I explain why I'm so bullish on Palantir. But yeah, again, I really like Palantir. Anyway, so that's it for all my stocks. Now I do have one more thing in my RBC portfolio. So if we go back to that for just a second, you can see that I do have some Dropbox call options, and thankfully these are green. So I'm still up about 14% on this. I think I was up like 40% at one point at its peak. But I'm not really worried because I do think that Dropbox is a very undervalued tech company, and I wanted to buy shares, but I was running low on cash at the moment, so I decided to buy Leaps instead. So Leaps, if you don't know, are like really long dated call options, so it's a way for you to leverage your money if you're running low on cash, but you want to make a bigger bet on a company. So yeah, I decided to get Leaps instead for just that extra little bit of more bang for my buck. So these don't expire until January of 2023. So I got plenty of time, and I'm going to continue to hold them until we see a really big move up for Dropbox shares, which I believe that is coming. Then I might sell the calls and switch to shares, or I might roll them up for a higher strike price. I don't know yet. So anyways, that was my entire portfolio as of May 2021. So a bit of a rough patch to say the least, but hey, things could always be worse. It's not nearly as bad as it was in March 2020, of course. Although back then I had less money invested, but the percentage drops were a lot bigger back in March 2020, of course, right? So overall, I'm just going to say that my overall strategy has not changed. So my overall strategy is always to focus on long-term growth opportunities and getting into shares or call options, for that matter, of those companies at reasonable prices. So my long-term strategy has always been the same, and I'm going to continue to build out my portfolio. And if it needs like consolidation even more, or if I need to add, if I see another opportunity, if I see another super good growth stock, I might add that, right? But yeah, once again, like my overall strategy has always been the same. So yeah, that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well, links down below in the description as always. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.